Hello, my name is Jim Downs and I'm a field specialist in forestry for Ohio State University Extension. Today I am at the Old Town Creek Preserve, which is a city park in Logan, Ohio. It's actually attached to the Hocking County Fairgrounds and is part of their tree trail where I'm at today. But today I'm going to be introducing privet, which is a non-native invasive plant that is actually fairly common all across the state of Ohio. Privet, which can be seen here and back behind me, originates in Asia. There are actually some 50 different species of privet across the world. Most all of those are native to either China or Japan, with 49 of the 50 coming from that area, and one of the subspecies or one of the species of privet originating in North Africa. For our purposes here today, I'm going to be introducing the four most common privets that we have here in the state, just as one introduction, so just introducing it as a genus, ligustrum, versus introducing an individual species like I do in most of the videos. Part of the reason for that is the privets that we have scattered across Ohio are very difficult to identify the difference between them, and they will also cross-pollinate and hybridize amongst each other, which can create more confusion in identifying them. But from a practical purpose, all the privets can be identified using the same type of identification features that I'll be highlighting in this video. And additionally, for landowners who are interested in controlling privet, the control techniques for privet remain the same regardless of the different type of privet that you might be dealing with on your property. So the identification features of privet: it is a oppositely branched shrub with fairly small oval leaves. The leaves themselves will usually be somewhere between 1 inch to 2.5 inches in length. They're going to be much more narrow than they are long, with somewhere between maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch in width. The leaves themselves will be more of a pale color on the underside versus a deeper green on the top side. The edges of the leaves do not have any serrations, so they are smooth or entire. The twigs remain a tan color, and the twigs, that color in the bark, that tannish to brown color, will remain as the stem increases in diameter. One of the things that you will see across the stems of privet are these thorn-like features or spur shoots, sharpened spur shoots, maintained along the stem. As far as the flowers are going to be produced in usually late May to early June. They are going to be a fairly delicate flower, somewhere between 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch when they are open. They consist of primarily 4 white petals, and they may be about 1/4 inch in length. The fruits that will be produced by these are a drupe. Those fruits will typically ripen in September to October here in Ohio. These drupes, or small berry-like fruits, are consumed readily by wildlife, and this is a plant that is very readily spread by wildlife across the state of Ohio. However, importantly, the nutrient content of the fruits of privet aren't as good as are the berries produced from some of our native species, making this act like more of a junk food for wildlife species. The fruits are not edible for humans. They're actually going to be somewhat toxic to people, so they should not be consumed. One of the interesting features to privet is it does have the ability to layer or root from the branch tips. When those branch tips or parts of the branches come in contact with the ground, they do have an ability to grow a new root there and be able to grow up out of the ground as a new plant. It is a shrub, usually is going to be somewhere between 6 to 12 foot in height, and will come up out of the ground as multiple stems. As far as the growing locations of privet, most commonly we're going to see this in areas that are disturbed. It does like to grow in full sunlight, but can also tolerate fairly deep shade. And as part of that, it's one of the reasons which makes this shrub so invasive. It does have the ability to tolerate a wide variety of growing conditions. So it can sit around in the understory of a forest and wait for a disturbance, wait for sunlight to hit before it will greatly expand its size and produce loads and loads of seeds. So we will commonly see this along roadsides and other disturbed areas, especially forest areas that remain more moist or a little bit more wet. This tends to be more common in those areas compared to our dry upland forest, even though there are times when we will see it in our rather dry upland woodland areas. For those of you who are interested in controlling privet on your own property, there are a number of different control techniques that can be utilized for privet. Most of these applications are going to require the use of herbicide because simply cutting down privet will cause that plant to resprout, and afterwards you will have more stems than you had to begin with, ultimately just making the problem worse. There are a number of different types of herbicides that can be used. I would highly encourage you to check out Ohio State University Extension's fact sheet on privet for options on controlling the privet that happens to be near you. And with that, thank you for watching and have a great day.